Yo, what's going on, everybody? My name is Tyler, aka Mind of a Nerd. Welcome back to Official Nerd Talk YouTube channel. I'm here with my co-host AJ Reacts to, and we are back for another episode of Originals versus Remakes. And today we are covering A Star Is Born because we wanted to throw a little random one in there. And A Star Is Born 2018 is a movie that we both love. Spoiler alert for the decision of this video. But I thought we thought it would be interesting to look at another version of A Star Is Born and see how it compares, seeing that there's about like 28 different versions of A Star Is Born. So without further ado, let's get into one version of A Star Is Born. So A Star Is Born 1976 was directed by Frank Pearson, who didn't really go on to direct much, but he is probably most notable for writing the TV show Mad Men, which I've heard is very good. I've never seen it. And it tells the story of a has-been rock star falling in love with a young up-and-coming songstress, and the story of their relationship, and that's pretty much the gist of it. So AJ said let's do this version of A Star Is Born because it has Barbara Streisand in it, and it's probably the most notable version that's not the 2018 version, which makes sense.
hmm
And it's interesting watching this movie because a lot of people, when the 2018 one came out, said, oh, Lady Gaga was put in that movie because she was Lady Gaga. And you look at this movie and you watch it and you're like, Barbara Streisand was put in this movie because she was Barbara Streisand at the time. And that's not a diss against Barbara Streisand. She is undoubtedly the best part of this movie for me. But the movie as a whole, it's fine. You know, this is not the most acclaimed version of A Star Is Born. I think, from what I gathered, it's probably the 2018 one or the one that came before this, which was in the 50s, which I have not seen, which I'm curious to watch after watching this one. The movie itself is fine. I expected more, and I was watching it, and I was like, there's no oomph to it. It's just kind of there, you know. Like I said, Barbara Streisand is honestly incredible in this movie to me. I thought she did a phenomenal job. The music with her, I thought was okay at first, and then she has a couple really solid ones in the middle acts, and the one at the end was just phenomenal. It made me almost raise my score just a little bit because I was like, "Wow!" Those
Yeah.
are, I guess, my thoughts on it. Again, it's not a bad movie,
Mm.
but I never gonna watch this. But I might listen to the songs a little bit, but I'm probably never gonna watch this again. AJ, what are your thoughts on the original Star Is Born?
I think this movie suffered from, for personally, it suffered from me watching the 2018 version before it and loving it because it was so difficult not to compare like the entire time, and just like they did this better, Bradley Cooper did this better, like that's felt how I felt watching this movie throughout. Now, putting that aside as much as possible, the movie is very fine. It feels like the story goes at a steady pace. It's slow, but it's like, gradually, showing this downward spiral of John. Barbara Streisand, this is the movie that I kind of wanted to watch because Barbara Streisand was in it, and I kind of had my eye on this movie ever since I saw this, the 2018 version back in 2018. So I kind of had my eye on it. I just never watched it until now. I had have a reason to now. But yeah, like this movie felt like Bradley Cooper took this story and elaborated on it in every way possible, in such a great way, like every aspect. So I don't know, like this movie was, I would say it was fine, like it was a decent film, but like you said, it did feel half baked because we saw what this story truly could be. But yeah, it's fine. Like you said, I probably won't ever watch it again. If I do watch it again, it's gonna be in the far distant future. Um, but yeah, it was fine. I'll say it like that.
Moving on to the re- uh I don't know, like sixth remake of A Star Is Born, but the second version that we'll be talking about today, A Star Is Born 2018. So, A Star Is Born 2018 was, of course, directed by Bradley Cooper and tells pretty much the similar story of this alcoholic, semi drug addict musician falling in love with this a woman and her rise to fame in the music business and how that affects their relationship. So, I did not see this in theaters because I think this was rated R, and I still was not able to see rated R movies by myself at the time. I think I was 16 when this movie came out, but I was very excited for it. Then I asked my mom to get the Blu-ray like the day it came out, and I was on a trip. I came back from my trip and we sat down and watched the movie. And the first time I watched the movie, I enjoyed the movie. I just found the ending to be a little anticlimactic to me the first time I watched it. I had loved most of the movie, and then when it got to the ending, I was like, that was it? Was like, and I remember my mom having the reaction of the Christmas Story mom. What? That because she was just so into it, and I remember my dad telling me, "Nah, you're bugging. That ending was perfect," and I was just like, "Okay, I guess."
Whatever you
So,
say.
I hadn't watched the movie for a couple years, and I remember watching it. I think about 2 years ago. I don't know if I had gotten the 4K and then watched it, but I remember watching it again, and I was like, I love this movie,
I think it was
and
before you got the 4K.
and I watched it again today, and it's that this movie, in my eyes, this movie is a perfect movie. It is legit one of my favorite movies ever, and it's weird saying that this movie is one of my favorite movies ever because it is so depressing. It is so sad and emotional, but I would be lying if I told you this is not one of my favorite movies ever. The performances in this movie are some of the best I've ever seen. Bradley Cooper was acting like he had literal seconds left on this planet. Literally. Every single line of dialogue from him just sounds so genuine and real and human. There's points in this movie where it doesn't feel like you're watching a movie. It feels like you're watching people actually talking, especially in the scenes between him and Sam Elliott, who's also incredible in this movie. You know, there's so many scenes where they're just talking and you're just so sucked into it. It doesn't feel like a movie. I love Lady Gaga in this movie. I've always been a fan of her acting. I love her in this. I love her in House of Gucci. I'm excited to see what she does in Joker, Folie à Deux. Um, and I think they have immaculate chemistry with one another. The musical sequences are just incredible. I love the music from this movie, and the thing that the movie does really well is that it gets you invested into their relationship and you buy into it the whole time, and you see the very highs that they achieve and the very low lows that they achieve, and by the end of this movie you are a wreck. Um and to me that is everything a movie should do. It should have you invested, and I love this movie so much, and I don't think if they ever decide to do another version of A Star Is Born, good luck. That's all I'm gonna say because they absolutely nailed it. What are your thoughts on A Star Is Born 2018?
So I saw this movie. I went on a date night to watch this movie. Me and my wife. Yeah. By that time, because I think this movie came out in October, right?
Hmm.
So we got married in June. So we were married at that point. Um, We went out on a date night. Oh, let's see Stars Born. Lady Gaga's in a new movie. Bradley Cooper directed this. Let's go see. This movie. It's about a
Why not?
relationship. It's about a relationship. It should be a cute little film musical. Um,
Oh,
by the end of this movie, we both were like basically shaking in our seats, especially that final performance with Lady Gaga. Like this movie kind of shook us to our core, and it was so emotional, had so much depth, had amazing music, and ever since 2018, we've rewatched it here and there, and yeah, I've had like a few nitpicks here and there about the movie, but it's simply fantastic. This movie is fantastic, and the soundtrack is on constant rotation in this house. We absolutely love the soundtrack to this movie, and it's like there's no skips in my eyes, and I think Stacy feels the same way too. There's no skips to this soundtrack, and actually listened to it again today, and I was like, this soundtrack is so good. It's kind of like I kind of feel like the similar to The Greatest Showman, where that soundtrack is incredible. The movie is good too, but the soundtrack is just like chef's kiss. So the movie itself, I it's hard to not go back and forth and compare the other to the other movie, but like I just think this movie has so much depth and emotion behind it, and the chemistry is there, the acting, the performances, as far as the music is there, and it's so good. um those are my basic thoughts on this movie. Fantastic film.
moving on to the similarities between these two versions of A Star Is Born, and the main similarity is that the mold and the story between the two films is there. I'm not sure how it is in the other versions, but between these two movies, they're pretty much identical.
Yeah.
There are also scenes from both of these movies that are the exact same.
Mhm. They have
So,
sequences within the film that are the same sequences, but things play out a little differently. Like
mhm,
at the beginning when she's in the bar singing. In the remake, they go to a different bar, and then there's a fight that breaks out. She
yeah.
punches a guy, so it plays out a little differently in some sequences, but it's essentially the same.
Yeah. The scene where she wins an award
Hmm.
and he makes a fool out of himself, that is the
Hmm.
exact same. Um
Hmm.
they
Well,
both these, well, not exact same, but they're this,
essentially the same
like
thing.
what happens essentially in terms of like, how he acts is essentially the same, and
Hmm.
what
Right.
beats up. We also get two scenes in both movies where they both have an argument over um the main character's fame, you know.
Hmm.
And then the ending is pretty much the same. The way it goes about it is not the same, but the the fates
The
of
end
certain
result.
characters
Right.
are the same. And I would say that the final minutes of both movies are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Um,
Different songs, but
yeah, different
essentially the same.
songs, but they're definitely the same.
Both
Um,
ending songs are fantastic, and the performances are great. So,
yeah, the final scene of the 76 Stars Born was, I texted AJ as soon as I finished. I was like, that gave me chills. That was some good
same,
stuff.
same.
Um,
I agree.
moving on to the differences of these two films, and the major one is the music. The music is drastically different. The remake goes for more like poppy, but also more rock
Hmm.
too. Which it's for the better because the music in the remake absolutely obliterates everything that the original does. The
Agreed.
the only song that could even compete from the original is that final one to me.
Honestly, I don't even remember any of the songs from the original, the '76 one, and I watched the movie today. So
There was one in the second act that I kind of liked.
uh,
Um,
they were fine. The songs were fine. They're just not memorable. Like any of
mhm.
like there's several songs in the remake that are like, okay, these are no. I know these lyrics. You
Um,
know.
the characters in both movies are different. The roles they play are the same, but
Mhm,
by name they are different. You still have the main um actress, and then you have the musician, and then you have his brother trying to make sure he's okay.
mhm,
Speaking of the brother, the major difference,
mhm.
the brother in the 2018 plays a much more significant role than in the 76 one. In the 76 one, this man has like three scenes and he's gone.
Yep.
And in the
Like
2018
absolutely no
one,
depth.
they did a much better job at actually making him a character and having him have meaning,
Yes.
which I appreciated. Another major difference is that the 2018 one just it gives so much more depth to everything. It gives more depth to the issues that our characters have. Um, and it just makes everything much more emotional. And we also see them form a proper relationship. And this goes into my biggest issue with the 76 one. These twerps have no chemistry with each other, bro. I'm sorry, bro. A pencil and an eraser have more chemistry than these two have in this movie. I love Barbara Streisand in this movie. The other dude, I mm, no bueno. I didn't really care for him. I found him to be like there were a couple scenes where he was okay, but a lot of the time I was just like, I'm not feeling you, dude. And I don't know if he's a musician or what, or if he's a legit actor, but if I found out he was a musician and he was trying to act, that would make more sense because I was just like, this dude just they don't have good chemistry. Their chemistry kind of built as the movie went along, but like the first half of the movie where they first met, I'm like, these two supposed to be in love right now or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then he was saying some weird stuff too. There were points where I was like, what did you just say? You can't say that.
What did he say?
Um
Yep.
in the remake, they have so much better chemistry. It's instantaneous. They're cute, they're adorable. The things that he says to her are hilarious in a cute and jokey way, and it works. It makes you
Mhm.
buy into it.
Yeah.
Um
Something that stood out to me in the remake, the 2018 version, um, is when they first meet in the bar, and he goes backstage and he asks her to if he could peel off her eyebrow because she had like one of those fake eyebrows on. Like that sequence, it by like just by first glance, like you wouldn't think much about it, but like actually like the way it was filmed and structured, and you saw like he kind of like cups the back of her head and peels it off so slowly, and she like gives him this look, like just little things like that create so much depth and kind of gets you so much more invested in the film than the 76 version. That's what I noticed.
Another difference is that the 2018 one has many more side characters. We see her father and all
Hmm.
his family, and we see that there's a lot of issues going on there. And also Anthony Ramos is in the 2018 one.
He is. I always forget that he's.
Unrecognizable.
I always
Uh,
forget that he's in this movie.
these in the heights people, they sneak around Hollywood because we got Anthony Ramos in this. The Benny from In the Heights is in Iron Man 3, chilling in the Air Force.
Melissa Barrera, she got some
Hilarious.
roles too.
Um,
Hmm.
but something else that they go that's a difference is that they go more in depth with his drug and alcohol addictions, and I think that
Hmm.
works
Yeah,
because
it
it
does.
makes us more connected to this character. In the original they don't do that, and I'm like, I don't care about this dude, bro. I just don't. Like,
Yeah. I
really
agree.
don't. In the remake, every time he starts drinking again, you're like, oh, put
Yeah,
it
you feel it.
down.
Yeah, and they show like the struggle too, because like some sequences they'll show where he wants to go take a drink and he refuses, and then there's a sequence when he's at like behind the stage at SNL and he's like frustrated and he just goes for the bottle, and you're like, "Ah, you're working so hard to fix this and." You're falling back into it. Like it feels like he's part of your family. Like don't do that. Like, come on,
Yes,
bro.
bro.
Like you trying to you're begging and pleading with him. Like, come on,
I
bro.
just think
You don't
that
have to do that.
the major overall difference with 2018 is that it is much more emotional. The
It is.
original is kind of just here's their relationship and how the
Mhm.
music business affects somebody's relationship.
Yeah.
The remake is like here's their relationship and the music business, but here's how the music business also affects alcoholism and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's really gut punching,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm. They don't ever show Jackson's dad, but he's talked about a lot and it influences, his behavior, his brother's behavior, and like it just adds to that emotion. It just does.
Yeah.
Another thing that's a difference that I personally noticed with these two films is in the 76 version, they do a lot of the songs and like they would sing like they would go, their concert sequences and they would have like two full songs like at each concert and they would play like the songs all the way through. And in the 2018 version, I wanted that because I love this soundtrack, but there's some sequences where they'll have the music playing behind a scene, and
Mhm.
like they're talking over it, and I'm like, shut up! I want to hear the song.
Shut
Like,
up.
shut up! I want to hear the song. Like, and it kind of makes me want to just run to the soundtrack. Um, and then there's like other sequences where they'll cut the song halfway through or start the song halfway through and they'll finish it, but that was a difference that I saw, that there is a lot more song in the original than in the remake.
So moving on to which one we think the definitive version is. Of course, we think the 1976 one is the definitive version. It's not like we spent 3 minutes talking about that version and
Bro,
20 minutes talking about the 2018 one.
bro.
Obviously, the definitive version between these two versions of Star is Born is the 2018 version directed by Bradley Cooper.
I'm
It is it is one of my favorite movies ever. I love the soundtrack to this movie so much, and it's a movie that again it's so depressing, but it's as a phrase that I continue to use with talking about Game of Thrones, but I can talk about it with this movie. It is a tragically beautiful story, and I absolutely love this movie so much, and it's one I won't forget. Thank you, Bradley Cooper, because it
Yes.
is immaculate. That is going to do it for this episode of Originals versus Remakes. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Turn on the bell for all notifications for future Nerd Talk live streams and videos. The next episode of Originals versus Remakes will be in July to start off the summer season with Piranha, a summer themed OVR, which I'm very excited to do. Um, I don't know how those movies are going to turn out. But you know what? I haven't seen any of them. AJ seen one of them and said it was awful. I don't know.
We'll
We'll
see.
see.
We'll see.
We will see how the summer starts. But those are gonna start. That's gonna start pretty much the summer festivities for Nerd Talk. It's gonna be very exciting summer, and I hope you guys are gonna join us on that ride. But once again, this has been OVR from Nerd Talk, and we will see you on the next episode, everybody.